Welcome to the Leadership Labs with DeepRec.ai, the podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of deep tech entrepreneurship, company founders, and venture capitalists. I'm your host, Anthony Kelly, and I'm thrilled to have you join us in this exciting journey. In each episode, we explore the minds behind groundbreaking technologies, the visionaries who dare to push the boundaries of innovation, and the investors who fuel the growth of tomorrow's game changers. Hello, welcome Fadwa Ouardani to the podcast show. How are you, Fadwa?
Hi, Anthony. I'm good. I'm good. It's a Friday day, so weekend approaching. Very happy
Nice, nice.
to
And
finish the week on a nice recording.
I've caught you on a day where your travel has been much less after being traveling for the last 2 weeks. So hopefully this isn't too much for you.
Now it's the perfect ending of the week. Just chatting, no traveling anymore.
Good, good. So yeah, for everyone listening, this episode is going to be focused around Fadwa, her experience as a VC investor at Exange. They're a fund that is focused around machine learning. So she'll be able to share with us, a lot of her experience that she has picked up from looking at founders who have had successful pitches, areas where they often lack coming into it, and I guess just a couple of tips and hints of what you could actually be looking to do or prepare before you go in for those dreaded VC pitches. Um, but before we do that, Fadwa, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and guess what sort of got you on the path to being being in the VC world? Is it something you planned?
Everyone asks me that question, like, how did you get in? And I always say random, and they were like, no, you cannot get in, get in VC randomly. And honestly, randomly. 1 year and a half ago, I didn't even know what VC meant because back then I was actually building a company in machine learning. So that's what I was doing for the last 3 years and building the business team of a machine learning startup. So we were selling NLP, computer vision projects for big corporates in the DACH region. For example, uh, defect detects on cars to help insurances price better or detects fake money for big banks, or I won't name the banks, but big banks. So how to build the computer vision models with an NLP model that help you detect fake money, or how to predict supply chain performance, etc. So I was doing that for the last 3 years and building the business team of that startup from two people when I started, and when I left we were around 35 and doing around 5 million revenue, only bootstrapped, so no VC money, actually just a project based machine learning project. Well, while building the product of the project, of course, and I decided to leave because I for me it's really was hard to scale this kind of project. If I mean, once you build the machine learning models and you implement them and you put them in production, at some point you have to do it again and again for every new customer, and that was for me not the most optimal way to look at AI. And I was thinking more that this is something should make a product out of it and just scale it and sell it, a computer vision product or NLP product or whatever it is. And when I was in this
Out of the box and add. You want a feature upgrade. It's going to cost more, right?
exactly, so not do it always from scratch, but go that direction. And back then, I had one friend who actually worked at VC, but I never asked him what he was actually doing. And when I was discussing with him that I was leaving, he was like, "You know what? You have to come work with me. And we can be colleagues." And I think your personality also fits VC. Very social butterfly, likes to talk to everyone, interested in many different topics, and with the AI background. So at that time, they were also looking for someone who would look at everything AI based. So I decided to join them and
Nice, yeah.
become a baby VC with the operational side. So actually, it was easy for me to break into it because I think when you come from operation, I mean, with a startup background and actually built something before, it's so easy to talk to founders because you get the challenges, you understand their pain point of a product building or team building or um, yeah, so the everyday challenges, which is also easier for VC to see, to relate and to empathize with the founders.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, it's good. It's not something you see, and I'd be quite familiar with Morantics and Labs. I know a couple of people from the business from very early stages, even before they had any brands come out in the venture builder. I sat down with Rasmus and Adrian and Nicole even. So that's probably, oh jeez, almost 5 or 6 years ago. So maybe even before before you had joined them.
Yeah, before I joined. I joined
Uh,
around 4.5 years ago.
but yeah, no, it's really cool, and I mean, is there a standard path into being a VC investor, or is it just you have to be in the trenches of a startup to see what it looks like to sort of even get an invite to the door?
My, Honestly, today my personal advice would be go operational first, and you would always be able to break into VC. And also, you would be a better VC because you would understand the business better, and you have an expertise as well. Because most of VCs are very general, and the friends of mine that I made through in the last year and the general, they say they struggle because they want to find an expertise, but they don't have it yet. So I think if you come from the operational side and you understand how to build a startup and you have worked in certain industry with that startup, then it really gives you super good understanding of the industry and how to look at a startup in that space. So I would highly recommend to first go operation, do the work, and then you can always break after that into VC. Whether it fails or it succeeds, I think you can always leverage that knowledge that you build to go into the VC world.
Nice, nice. Um, what sort of AI and ML companies do you see a lot of coming at you with Exange?
Um, I mean, Exchange itself invests from pre-seed, seed to Series A, so pretty early stage, and we focus mostly on France, Belgium, and DACH region. So we don't look at the US startups, which is a big difference for many other VCs that actually look at AI from the US lens. We look mostly at the European at Europe. And I see I mean, AI. It's a horizontal play, so it's a technology. It's not really an industry. So you can see horizontal software that's trying to. It's a depth for developers or so an, something optimization for developers, AI softwares to help build better models or to plug into softwares. Or you have the other approach, so AI focused industries. So AI for focused industries, AI for climate, how to optimize energy in the buildings, for example, or AI in healthcare, or how to detect cancer in mammographies, on X-rays for radiology, for example. So we have really this multi play, vertical or horizontal, which you see many of.
Nice, yeah. They are very exciting spaces to be in and very exciting companies. It's
I mean,
quite.
especially like the last the last months, it was a crazy time to be in AI because uh, it's like being in Web three in 2021. In 2022, 2023 was it's the AI years because Gen AI had the major breakthrough or the mass breakthrough, not in terms of technology actually, but mostly in terms of mass impact because the tech was already ready for years ago. I mean, I was looking at GPT-2 already 2 years ago, and I was already big advance in NLP space, but just the last year, they found a way with the chat front end to make it accessible to the mass, and that was the big shift into Gen AI and made it such a big topic in the last months.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? It's quite funny you say that because I've been thinking, and you actually see off the back of that now. There's quite heavy investment going towards generative AIs and language models and companies that are quite not quite similar to ChatGPT, but are solving issues related to language. Um, Also means that there's probably people sleeping on the video generative AI, right? That's going to be big. There will probably become a time where there's educational videos on YouTube by, I don't know if they're for kids, made by SpongeBob SquarePants, where the video is generated, the language is generated, but he's teaching a class on, I don't know, basic math.
I think that's closer than you think in terms of time. That's
I
sure.
agree.
That's closer in time than you think. My hope is that regulation would follow as fast as possible. I know it's complex, but I really hope that European regulations would pick up. I mean, I know they're already in discussion at the moment to put in place AI regulations, how to regulate Gen AI, how to regulate AI generated content. But I hope that would be faster than 10 years. I hope it's going to be more a 12, 24 months
Yeah.
perspective.
I do think you're right as well with the mass adoption, right? ChatGPT is now the fastest user, sorry, it's gained the most users faster than anything else, faster than TikToks, faster than Instagrams, Facebooks, you name it. But I think you nailed it on the head there. It's one bar. You go into it, it's one bar. Why is Indeed so successful? You say, I'm looking for a job, this location, ChatGPT, just straight ask your question. So, also, don't want to say they kind of challenged Google on it, but it's also what makes Google the go to browser, or has made Google the go to browser.
Yeah, that definitely like gave an edge to Microsoft because then by investing massively in I mean I don't want to clash Microsoft, but Bing was always horrible. No one used Bing around me, and then suddenly because now they included the ChatGPT in Bing, it became a hot thing again. So it shows you like what's the investment underneath it that Microsoft did in OpenAI was beneficial for them because now they're back competing with Google again.
Yeah, nice. And now let's talk about businesses. Let's talk about founders when they're pitching. And I guess if we kind of come in, and this is not to be insulting to anyone who's listening, who might think, oh, I'm really bad at this. It's more of an area of where when you come in to do your pitching for VCs and you're looking for investment, these are points that are often overlooked that will actually hold a lot more value to someone who will either sign off to give you investment or not. But I guess in a very common sense, what's the most common, let's say, pitfalls or areas that founders don't cover very well in their pitching?
Um, I'll continue to answer the question from the technology angle. So if we talk about only AI and ML companies or data companies and not just any startup, you always in most cases you have technical people as founders, which is good. They have people that are building the product, building tech. They come from tech backgrounds. They never studied business or were coached on build a pitch or pitch to someone. They also they want to build their thing, which is I think super cool. At the same time, this usual mistake is too much tech because a business you don't only I mean a business you don't only build a startup on technology, you also build it for a certain problem, to fix a problem, to sell it to clients. And what's mostly overlooked is too much into the tech side and too little into the who are the users, what's the vision, what's the competition, how you break into that market, why are you actually your technology is better than the other technologies, and having the more businessy read of the tech. If we think about dev tools or open source softwares, it's always like I get a pitch from the doing this, we're doing this vector based thing, and it's so cool. We have this and this GitHub stars, we have a strong community, but you always don't talk about then what problem are you actually fixing and how they are you planning to get traction money wise. Because if you're open source software, I mean first year you're probably going to go free, but at some point you're also going to go large enterprises if you want to monetize this. And so I think what always lacks is the second approach of the business. And that's one thing. And the second thing I would say it's I mean we talked about it last time, right? It's the know your audience thing. If you're a technical CEO or CTO or you're pitching to VCs, we are also not equal in the VC world. You can pitch to a generalist VC, you can pitch of AI VC, or you can also pitch to someone who, I mean, who knows about AI but not an expert in your topic. So you always need to know who are you talking to, because you're delivering a message. So you're an actor of your own play. So you need to know who you're pitching that your idea to, and adapt your pitch accordingly. If someone who's really knowledgeable in AI, who knows exactly what you're talking about, then directly go into the tiny gritty things, and then uh, talk as equal, and why your technology is greater, and give the maybe the depth in it. If you're talking to a general VC, maybe you have to make it easier to understand and talk about big picture, talk about why the tech is fitting in the big picture of technologies, and make it easier to understand, and not just go directly into the, okay, I'm building this code and this code looks like this. You have to, otherwise you're just going to lose the person, and it's not in your favor.
And if let's say even coming to you guys on the AI VC, right? You've got that nice product background, which really helps you with a go to market strategy. So tech people, they will have this amazing tech, it's and if we're going to play the odds game, let's say what 80% of startups are probably full tech people, right? Where there might be two or three people, all of them could actually be the CTO, right? That's how we see it now. A lot of people have either worked together as engineers or went to university together and studied computer science, and that's where these groups are forming. But I guess that's where you've come along and said, yeah, the tech is great. How often do you see them, let's say, put on the product hat or the operations hat that you've had, and be able to say, oh, we've got this amazing piece of tech, but we don't know who our users are, or we know who our users are? Like, what's the shift? Do you say more of them wouldn't have their target audience in terms of not VC, but in terms of users, more or less of the time?
um I wouldn't say so. I think I would say positively and optimistically that most of the AI or ML softwares that I founders that I talk to are know their users and know who they will sell to, because most of the time they're gonna use the people that are similar to them. They're gonna sell to people that are similar to them. So it's pretty easy for them to grasp the crowd and who are they targeting. What's harder is to grow that reach and the marketing, because if you're AI software, obviously you're also all selling to the same crowd. So how do you differentiate yourself in by through Discord channels, or how do you get the growth going? And I guess developer, if you're a competitive landscape, you can use two or three or four different tools in random example authentication space. You're an open source software that do authentication, so you're the one building the when you go to a website, you have to get your email and your password. There are many open source softwares selling that, either on cloud or on premise, etc. But then how do you differentiate and get to the right people? And this has to be done with marketing, with community building, writing content. And it has nothing to do with the tech, it has to do actually with the reach.
So, again, just got a question on that. So, how much or how often? So, you come in, you've got one customer, they're a perfect customer. You know that they're in a certain industry. You know that previous their previous partner wasn't able to fulfill X, Y, Z that you now can. Obviously, I'm coming from a sales background. I want to find 20 other companies like Company A. you know, and that's an easy growth market strategy, right? Is that something that you see often as well, or do you think that they might just rely on the marketing tools to bring new customers in? Every customer is different, or would they actively think, "Oh right, Twitter are an example of a great customer. They're working very well with us. Let's find Facebook, Instagram, right, for example."
I think so. I think so. Yes. Many tech founders do that approach. So find similar uh, users to the client they have, or similar clients to expand their sales. You have also the other approach, which is go through the developers first. So go through developers and see to which developers did you convince, and then you hopefully would convince the team of that person, and then the team would convince the company to buy the solution at a larger scale. So more a bottom up approach, start with the individuals and then grow into, and then maybe there are different industries in different companies, but then you manage to convince the users first.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's quite a common approach for open source tools. Freemium, I think it's called.
Exactly, it's freemium.
Cool. So let's talk about then the founders themselves in terms of skill sets. So we've mentioned that, yeah, look, not that the odds are stacked against them, but the skills are probably not aligning to a full business suite. In a founders of an AI company, you know, they've worked together as machine learning engineers, data scientists, or went to university together. So it's very much focused towards the tech. Um, so for people who are these tech focused founders, like, what would you say to them is important? I know people say you've got to have a finger in every pie, which, look, nobody can disagree with that. But if your early
Funny
stages,
expression. You have to have a finger in every pie.
because everyone puts their finger in a pie, right?
Absolutely, definitely.
It's like take the cat out of the bag. Look, they exist. Don't know why. Um, but yeah, so let's say the early stages, they have their product. They're now going for seed. How should they start to look to spread themselves out to be able to accomplish more as a unit, as a team?
I mean, it depends on the topic, right? If you're a vertical AI play, so AI for radiology, then you have a particular team that you need to build to succeed. You have obviously to have the CTO. You have to have the product team with the really good UX design, and because you're building a front end to people that are not developers, to doctors or nurses. So a very good UX, and you need to have the medical side as well, because you're building something that's you have to have the end user in your team. So you cannot just come from the let's build an algorithm that detects cancer and then that's it. You have to really build the product, thinking about who's going to use it and how and what it struggles. And obviously you also maybe sometimes have to have a regulators or someone
Yeah.
who's in compliance and regulation. So the team structure shifts per depending on the topic, on the industry, on yeah. I mean, if you also bring AI for legal industry, then obviously you need to have hire the lawyers or freelance lawyers that they help you build the best UX and the best product.
Nice. Let's talk about operationally. Um, if we need to tell them to start meeting customers, start doing sales, start doing marketing, start managing daily operations, OKRs.
Oh my God, so many things that I need to start doing.
But I mean, even look, not necessarily like from early stages. You can even break it down further again. There's finances, there's people and culture, and I mean, there is a lot to spin. But if you were to weigh them up, and say what's important that they keep between the founders, and they start. If you're to say, I advise, if it was me, I would prefer to see the founder stay in sales, to stay in marketing, right, and then one guy's customer experience or finance, because you understand that you are the heartbeat of this business, right? But you can't all be the CTO. Where would you recommend that they look to upskill themselves the most to be that Swiss Army knife?
So if I understand the question well, if you need to optimize for the perfect team from day one, and you cannot have everything, but you have to have the two skills, which one would they be?
Yeah, pretty much.
Um, w- I'm not gonna fool myself. I will not fool anyone. I think sales is one of the most important one. Traction is always gonna be a key question. Even if you have the cool tech, the coolest team, we're always gonna end up talking about how well are you executing, how well are you building, how fast are you building, and by fast, a metric that's often comes back is traction. So how much money are you selling at which speed? So I think sales is an important skill set. Whether it's actually putting in place a sales machine, so putting in place a sales machine, which also includes marketing, a CRM, whatever you're selling to individuals or enterprises, and the networking part as well. So you have to get out there to be heard, to meet people, to gather feedback, and try to sell to people, gather their feedback, and improve your sell pitch. I think yeah, being a good, and that's usually where technical people lacks the most. It's the sales part.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's fair to say, like, there's companies that fail. There is someone told me, I can't remember, it will be a couple of episodes back. He said you wouldn't believe how much great code ends up in a graveyard, um, because they fundamentally couldn't put, you call it a sales engine behind it, and take it out to the market, or they build something that is amazing and the customers don't want it. Although the technology could be way ahead of its time, right? And that's just how it is.
And you know what? That's even more true for deep tech companies. That's the saddest part. If it's like an AI software, oh, fine. I mean, it's another AI software. But for me, deep tech is something that people put research, years of research on, something that's definitely technologically a breakthrough technologically, and could be advancing research in healthcare, in climate space, in biotech, or whatever the topic, and then they fail to put a product out of it and commercialize it. And then they end up not picking it up, and then maybe the topic is dead, and then someone pick it up again in 3 4 years. But but that's very, I mean, that's sad. That's why you have to find a way to commercialize what you have, even if you have to reduce research to cut on the product, now build the perfect product. First go try how are you going to sell this, to whom are you going to sell this, and what's the best sales approach. Which you, I
Yeah,
mean, it's not easy to find a sales approach. You have to iterate and iterate until you get there, but you have to do it from day one.
it's often the case even that, tech people will build this amazing all-in-one out-of-the-box product. It solves every automation issue that you might have. Some people are like, yeah, do you know what? I don't want it. But if you could do it to do just this one, I'd buy it off you then. And then you almost have to. I guess that's where it comes into pivoting, right? And that can be a crucial part of knowing if it's a good idea, when it's a good idea, and it's very common in early businesses too.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the state of deep tech in Europe, and that's one of the main reasons why deep tech companies don't get funding, is because they don't manage to sell a product and find the right customers, and they lack usually that skills to build that sales machine, and then it ends up not really picking up.
Yeah. Now it's a good one to go into. The next topic was is that we were actually planning on talking about money, right, and how important early money is. You can forecast. If you can create a sales engine without I'm not saying ultimately focusing on sales, but without having like a sales department, without having a good machine in place, you're probably in a very good position that you could scale, right? Um, it's a lot easier to scale from 1,000 to 1 million than it is from 0 to 1 million. But also, deep tech companies eat money. They eat money in research, they eat money in computational power, in engineering, and even in some cases to get the right employees because they're so specialized. Uh, if you're making a money and sales plan, what's important? What's important from your side?
If you're a deep tech company, you mean?
Yes.
Mm, I mean, you need to hire the right people, and the right people usually most of the time have also some experience behind. So definitely put the money on the right people, and don't just hire a team of juniors. Even the most skilled ones, you have to have people that have the network and the experience that you need to break into a certain industry. If you sell into pharmaceutical industry, don't try to hire. I mean, I wouldn't say don't. I'm not Jesus on on sales deep tech, but I would think that hiring someone super junior wouldn't, just to cut costs, wouldn't make it. You have to go for the top voice in that space. Even if you pay the person more than you pay yourself, then do it, because that would give you like the edge that you need to kind of the first speed.
Nice. How important is it to see longer term projections and forecasts when going into to meet a VC? Like, do you need to come in and say, right, it's April 2023, I'm here to speak to you about seed in forecast up to maybe January 24, here's my Series A, and then similar for Series B and C, and talk through how and why and your sort of goal objections that you have as to why you should have achieved Series A, Series B, Series C, and have those sort of events planned in like really meticulously to say if it's revenue is at an all-time high, costs are stabilizing, right, it's time to go, it's time to bounce.
You know what? That's something that's me coming from operations. When I hear VCs asking about that, I'm like, how can you ask this to someone? I mean, it's impossible. So, so to be honest, depends on the topic. But if you're like a pre-seed or seed company and someone asking you about your Series B metric, then say, you know what, I don't want to work with you. There are plenty other VCs I want to talk to, because that's the wrong question that someone should be asking you. Um, and that's it. I mean, if I would ask someone, can you give me your revenue forecast in 2 years by now, what I'm actually asking is not like give me the forecast, it's let me walk me through your thinking process. So how big do you see yourself by then? So I just want to see if you're a big thinker, or you're like more, oh, we're gonna go slow and grow. It's just to see how you're gonna answer this, or what's your assumptions in your answering. But I'm not really looking for the perfect the number, because probably you're not gonna reach it anyway. So it's more to understand the hypothesis, how you like seeing the growths, what you think about expansion, on you going to new countries. If you tell me, oh, I plan to go actually by Series B, I plan to go here and here and expand to the US as well. So it's more to see to that's an easy question to break down the vision, but it's not really a question of give me the numbers. I want to see where you're gonna be. If then someone asks you that when you're pre-seed seed, yeah, then just like tell them something, and then say, you know what, you're not, maybe not the right person to work with me on my startup, because you're not realistic.
Yeah, fair. And I was going to ask, do you feel it's kind of like a way that it can set unfair expectations that they might hold an early age startup too? Because I mean, look, you can't predict. You can guesstimate your sales in 6 and 12 months. You definitely can't predict what's going to happen in 3 years. I mean, if you're in some like face AI business, you might have, I don't know, Elon Musk might reshare your product on Twitter, right? But what's going to happen then? You'll never be prepared for the amount of traffic that's going to come in. You'll exponentially grow. You'll blow up. There could be, if the medical space changes, the rules behind explainable AI and introducing AIs and the regulatory bodies behind that. Again, it will completely change how quickly you can roll out to new customers, customer adoption. So particularly in AI, I appreciate your answer, and it's really interesting that you're like, yeah, just talk me through your thought process. It's nice to see that, but guess you don't, not to
It's
say,
more a way to
not
assess the person than to assess the metrics.
nice, good,
Let's say it
good.
like like this. And I'm not speaking for the VCs. I'm speaking for myself and my fund. So just not to put my voice as like the ultimate voice of VC.
Nice. You ready for the quick fire questions?
Yes, shoot me.
Nice. A book, podcast, or content platform that you would recommend for AI leaders or entrepreneurs?
Oof, wow, that's a hard one. I think I'm more of a reader of newsletters and articles more than books or podcasts on in the AI space. I mean, you have great newsletters from, um, for example, Gradient has a really good one, or um, AI Capital, which is a VC from London. They publish this monthly AI report on new technologies, on regulations, which I think is super interesting. But I don't have one book to keep you. Otherwise, Twitter. That's the also the other answer.
You know what?
Um,
I do intend to get more involved in Twitter. I've heard from other people who I've spoken to on this. It, you can, if you follow the right people, you get into the right circles and you get the right content.
yeah,
Um, I
absolutely.
I use it for NFTs, so a lot of the people that I follow just have monkeys as their profile pictures. So I just get a lot of NFT related related stuff. Um, Three non-negotiables that you set yourself, or that you would set, or that you did set yourself in leadership or entrepreneurship. I mean, you can go back to the Morantics days. You can use your experience at Exxon. What's your daily non-negotiables?
When I meet a founder, you mean?
No,
What skills?
from you, your non-negotiables. Like, what do you set yourself every day? Like, what's your minimum standards that you set yourself? If it's wake up at 5 a.m., go for a run before work. I don't know.
Ah, okay. So personally, what am I?
I'll ask. I'll ask it again. Uh,
Uh,
what are your three non-negotiables when it comes to leadership? When it comes to setting yourself up for success?
I think one of my personal non-negotiable is it's a hard one. I think you meet I meet crazy people every day. I meet really amazing founders every day, and my non-negotiable is whenever I meet someone, I'm honest. I'm honest about the idea. I'm honest about the pitch. I'm honest about the feedback. So no fake positivity or fake feedback, or yeah, it's great, everything's fine. So that's one thing that I'm a no-negotiate on being honest, and that's also in one-on-one VCs relationship or other with other VCs. Just being honest. When things are not going good, they're not going good. When things are going great, they're going great. um Find always time to do sport, because sometimes you have some intense time and you just get into this loop, whether you're founder or VC, or someone who has really challenging work environment. Always find time for yourself, whether you meditate or you do sport or whatever. Prioritize this rather than go for a drink or have wine or beer at night. So because you always like have this Hollywood image of someone having the wine glass at the end of the day to chill. I think that's absolutely not something you should do. You should take time for you to meditate or do sports or go for a run or whatever helps you to channel, because that's what's gonna make you continue the hard period until it's done. So cutting the alcohol. that's uh that's another one.
Uh,
um
Final question, Fadwa. What would you do differently if you could go back and do it again?
hmm. Wow, Anthony, you're asking me these questions on a Friday.
For a Friday morning.
I would have slept a little longer this morning.
I do apologise.
um what I would have done differently. Mm, I think I would have started to build a network earlier than I did, because you start building your network already actually at university, but and you don't realize how important are the. I'm talking to the students or whoever is going out of university. The network you made at that time is so much. It's really important depending on the industries or in the on societies. So
Yeah,
build the right network that back then and continue nurture it. Don't just give it up.
I feel a lot. Do you know? I was going to say a lot of people seem to give them up as well. But yeah, look, that's us. That's us for time, Father. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your
You're
insights.
welcome.
It was great to see behind the curtain of a VC for 40 minutes. And look, I wish you the very best.
Thanks a lot, Anthony. I hope the answers were satisfying enough for the people to listen.
That concludes another enlightening episode of the Leadership Labs podcast. If you found today's episode thought provoking and informative, be sure to subscribe to the Leadership Labs on your preferred podcast platform or on YouTube. Thank you once again for joining us on this journey through the Leadership Labs. Until next time.